Hey, how's it going, everybody? ScottDogGaming here. Thank you very much for joining us. As you can see, we're back. We're playing some more of the Forgotten City. And we've discovered out that Pluto is the god of the Underworld. And we're probably, most likely, already dead. So we're dead.
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the Underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman, or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involve the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks. The only difference is that they spelled it with a kappa, which I suppose means K-H-A-R-O-N, is closer to the original spelling.
Okay. Why didn't you all recognize her?
To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named Kumut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again.
Why are there so few people in the Underworld?
Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river, but that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. And that might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not.
Were you trying to keep this from me?
No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without your help, I promise you.
Okay, that is all the questions I had.
We know where we are. We have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the Underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter. Orpheus, a Thracian poet. Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra. And Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the Underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the Underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the Underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide.
I've noticed you seem uncomfortable calling the god of the Underworld by his name. Why is that?
All Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril.
Okay. Tell me more about confronting Pluto head on.
Is everyone so blunt where you're from? Oh. That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the Underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no...
I mean, that seems a little bit harsh. Can manipulate time or turn organic matter into gold.
Are you telling me that you can?
Mm-hmm.
I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day. But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again.
What can you tell me about the obelisk?
It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque.
And where would I find them?
Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course, they've all been in hiding since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps, if you could find that, you might be able to recover the Roman plaque.
Yeah, we know where that is, but it's locked.
I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius.
Mm-hmm.
His store is in the forum.
Why does this say ask Dooley about the Greek plaque?
Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room. I'm afraid you're on your own with that one, but perhaps finding the other 3 will illuminate the way.
Yeah, I've seen one. One's down in the tunnel, right? And where the man about the god is.
As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the Underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage.
She might be willing to work against him to help us.
If the stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels?
I hear the female statues whispering to me every now and then.
And you're only bringing this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say?
It's helpful,
Fascinating.
if a little cryptic.
Perhaps she's a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself.
Maybe. Do you reckon we can speak to them?
If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out?
I've already found a way to escape.
Then why are you still here?
Because the parcel is on the desk of nearly everyone here.
Ah, I see. Then it seems you have made a great sacrifice.
I still might take
for
it.
all of us, friend. I admire your compassion, truly. Thank you. But unfortunately, I'm afraid your only other option will be to confront you-know-who.
Alright, I'm ready to get started.
I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know.
Okay, I'll have a chat with Livia first.
Time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you.
Okay. Okay, so we're looking for plaques. Coming through.
The great temple majestic.
Yeah, lovely. Okay. So I think before we go speak to her, let's just run in here. Because we know there's a plaque down here, right? I saw it as I was running up. Down here somewhere, I think. Can I pick this up? No. Maybe that wasn't the plaque?
You carry the gift of Prometheus. I will tell you everything. The one let us find. Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization before their time in the sun is over. Now, will you join me in a friendly Socratic dialogue? Wonderful. Then let me begin with the question. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong?
I'm not sure. It's a complex question.
You are an overthinker too. We're the same then. That's probably why I became a philosopher. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the golden rule, surely your struggle can only have become more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, there are some grey areas, right?
That's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable, because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the golden rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree?
Of course. Whose version of right and wrong? Yeah, indeed.
And it leads directly to my next line of inquiry.
Oh, good.
So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing?
There's more than one.
How can that be? Since they all have differences, it follows that in some cases they would offer different conclusions about what is right and wrong. If there is a correct moral code, then wouldn't it follow that only one can be the correct one?
correct moral code and society you're in.
You know, I think you'd find an ally in Herodotus, a scribe from among my people who lived some 400 years ago. He told the story of a man named Darius, whose curiosity was piqued when he learned that a certain tribe had the practice of eating their dead. He asked some Greeks who burnt their dead, "What would it take for you to eat your dead?" Aghast, they replied, "Nothing." Then he asked the tribe who ate their dead, "What would it take for you to burn your dead?" "Nothing," they replied, equally aghast. From this, Herodotus concluded that custom is king, that right and wrong are merely local ideas which do not survive the journey from one tribe to another. I take it you're in agreement?
Yeah, I think so.
Then let me ask you this. If you visited a tribe where they ate each other, copulated with the dead, and drank wine from cups made out of human skulls, would you still maintain that within such a tribe there is nothing wrong with such conduct?
It's a difficult one, right? Because the only reason we bury the dead is disease and religion, right?
Disturbing. And while I do not agree with you, at least you would have the support of Herodotus.
I mean, what's interesting is if you lived in a custom that, I mean, forget the health issues. If you lived in a custom, a culture where eating the dead was like burying the dead, in the same principle, then surely.
My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about right and wrong. If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all. I'm glad to hear that. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your question.
Thanks, mate. What's your story?
I mean, how did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past for company? It's a long
Guess what? I've got time.
I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night I found myself in a tavern, in an argument with a drunken mercenary. It became heated, he drew a gladius, and I won the argument, but lost my life. I woke up on the banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death under the Golden Rule. So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I was not the first to take refuge here. I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades' tyranny.
You mean Pluto?
They are one and the same. The Romans call him Pluto.
Okay.
Long before that, my people called him Hades.
Right. Why can't you return to the surface?
My generation was wiped out, turned to gold, many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down here. I think it's safest to assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize that his furies hadn't finished the job, and he'd send them after me again.
Why can't you tell me your name?
I fear that if you were to utter my name in the city, even by mistake, that Hades would hear you and know I am still alive.
Where is everyone else?
I'm afraid I am the only one left. There were 12 of us in the beginning, but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness and despair. It has been lonely. Before my unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years.
Have you survived down here?
Living in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet. Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides most of the nutrients I need. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation, so I like to imagine arguments, where I argue both sides. But, like so many things in life, arguments are better with a partner.
Let's talk about something
As
else.
you wish.
Do you know a way out of here?
If I did,
Good point.
would I be living like this?
Good point. Should have really thought about that. What do you think of the golden rule? Well, you've already told us.
Discuss it at length already.
Do you know where I can find a plaque that was removed from the
See
obelisk?
plaque bearing the Egyptian inscription.
That's the one.
It's a cursed object, and I would be happy to give it to you if Kabash had not already taken it.
Where is Kabash?
I will tell you, you may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know.
Okay.
Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that could not. Thus, the shrine of Persephone became the shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans.
I'm with you so far.
However, there was one thing that always seemed out of place to me, and it is the very thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription.
What did it say?
We had no idea until years later, when the first of my friends began to die. As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another, an even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail.
Uh-huh. What's in there?
There are certain things you must see for yourself. Take this key. You'll need it to open the gate.
Okay, thank you.
I enjoyed our...
Do we go in there now? Do we go speak to whatever she's called? I definitely can't pick that up. Okay, let's get going. Okay. So he's outlived all these people. Seems a bit suspicious to me. Okay. Can't really see anything. Are you dead? You're not dead. Am I using the wrong bow? There we go. That might help. Okay. Wish I didn't have a wooden bow as well as a golden one. Okay. Well, that went over your head. I hear another one. I just don't know where. Okay, that's not ideal. Get out of here. Okay. So this was Egyptian before. This was Egyptian before it was Greek, which was Greek before it was Roman, right? Hello? Hey, come back. Nice. There's still more. I mean, that is unfortunate, right? You would get stuck behind that dude. Okay. I wish I got the scroll right to my torch correctly. Alright, dude. Hello.
Stop. Do not come any closer. Who are you?
I'm Scott. Who are you?
I am Kabash.
Hi, Kabash.
And let me guess. Another Greek or Roman come to loot and plunder the resting place of my ancestors.
Wasn't part of my plan, no. I'm just looking for an Egyptian plaque.
To what end?
I want to return it to the Obelisk.
That is welcome news. You really are not Greek or Roman,
I'm not.
are you? I was planning to return it myself, but for now, I must remain.
Why?
Here, take it and restore the honor of Osiris.
Nice. That was a little too easy.
Now, as for the other plaque.
The fourth plaque, what do you know about it?
Indeed, I have it right here.
Okay.
I stumbled across a collection of dusty curiosities while searching for a place to hide from the hungry children of Amit, and there it was.
May I have it?
You may not. In fact, I am about to destroy it.
Hold on. Hold on.
Because it speaks a treacherous, blasphemous lie.
How so?
I will tell you, but first, do you know what this place is?
No.
Indeed, and I see you know our history. This is the Duat. See what has become of it. I have been down here for weeks, piecing together its story. And here is what I have learned. As Egypt declined and the Greeks had their turn to flourish, their souls came here in great numbers. But instead of adopting our ways, they copied and corrupted them. When they found the obelisk bearing the name Osiris, the true god of the underworld, they desecrated it, removing his name and replacing it with Hades. Even the ferryman of the dead, known to my people long before as Kerti, they renamed to Keron. As if that desecration was not enough, they built over this place, using it as the foundation for their own underworld, so that ours was forgotten. My only solace is that the Greeks then suffered the same fate when the Romans rose to power, renaming Hades to Pluto, and the cycle began anew.
So what's the problem with the plaque?
It is inscribed with a script I do not recognize, but it is ancient, almost as if it is older than the plaque bearing Osiris's name. But if that is so, it would imply the gods of Egypt are mere imitations too, copied and corrupted from an ancient people who prospered even before us. And that my people did to them what the Greeks and Romans did to us. But this, I cannot accept. I sense a deception. Perhaps it is the work of Set, the usurper, seeking to undermine Osiris once more.
Maybe. What does it say?
You will never know.
Oh, come on.
This work of sacrilege must be destroyed, thrown into the black abyss below in Osiris's name.
Please don't.
You are too late.
No.
It is done.
Don't fret. Oh, no. I wish you hadn't done that.
It could not have gone any other way. It was Osiris's will. Now, the thing of evil you sought is gone. Why are you still here?
I'm going to jump down that hole. What's your story?
I am from Rakotis, which you may know as Alexandria, the name of the city the Greeks built over it. I was a fisherman, like my father before me. Since the Romans had taken over from the Greeks, I took the opportunity to learn Latin and eventually traveled to Rome. When the fires broke out last year, I tried to help. I gathered terrified locals into my boat and led many of them to safety farther along the Tiber. On my 7th trip, a passenger demanded I wait for his brother. But we were full to almost sinking, and smoke was all around us. I told him his brother would have to save himself, and he tried to bribe me by placing a coin into my hand. When I refused, he drew a dagger and thrust it between my ribs. I awoke on the banks of the river to a stranger wearing a ram headdress. He said his name was Kirti, and at the time, I simply thought him odd. It did not dawn on me until much later that he was the Kirti, the ram-headed ferryman described in the Book of the Dead.
Do you know a way out of here?
This is where I belong, as caretaker of the memories of my people. If our ways are to be remembered, it falls to me.
Okay, what do you think about the golden rule?
I think if someone is to break the golden rule, it will not be me. For I try to live as I always have by the command of the goddess Ma'at. Do to the doer to make him do. As for the punishment that will come from it, I finally understand why it has long been said among my people that gold is the skin of the gods.
Okay, what do you think's down there?
I do not know. What could possibly lie beneath the underworld? Perhaps it is infinite darkness. Perhaps it is the lair of Amit, the devourer of souls. All I know is it would be unwise to venture down there.
You leave me very little choice.
Most unwise.
Okay.
Good. Wait. You are planning to go down there. I see it in your eyes.
That's right.
You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness.
This is your fault.
We
This is absolutely your fault. Nice. I wonder what ancient civilization this is. Oh God. They're trying to defend themselves from something. You can't go in there? Oh God. Stranger, heed the final words of Namkazu. Bear witness to our aftermath and lament us. We did our best to live as the gods commanded. We pleaded and harvested together. We planted and harvested together. We shared bread and beer. We accepted newcomers with open arms as family. But with each newcomer, the bonds of our family strained, and soon we were as strangers to each other. When these bonds were finally broken, my brothers and sisters planted only for themselves and ate and drank alone. And it was there, in the empty space between us, that sin took root. Nurgle's sentinels have awoken, and our clamour for our barricades learn from our mists. For some kind of trap. Well, I mean, we probably don't want to stand on it then, right? Although I am intrigued about the trap, I'm not going to lie. I'll probably never know what this was for. Look what we got here. Okay. I guess we keep heading up then. But we probably do that next episode. Thanks very much for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe button, follow us on Twitter at ScottDogGaming. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching ScottDogGaming. Don't forget to follow on Twitch and Twitter and head over to YouTube for daily content. See you again soon.